myself Professor Pallavi Bhule from K.K. College of Horticulture, Nasik. So today we are going to see about the dryland horticulture, its importance and limitations. So dryland agriculture refers to growing of crops entirely under the rain-fed conditions. Based on the amount of rainfall received, dryland agriculture can be grouped into three categories. First one is dry farming, cultivation of the crops in areas where rainfall is less than 750 mm per annum is known as dry farming. Dryland farming is cultivation of the crops in area receiving rainfall above 750 mm, and rain-fed farming is cultivation of the crops in the regions receiving more than 1150 mm of rainfall. Introduction. So Indian agriculture is a gamble of monsoon. Out of 143 metric hectare of cultivated land, 85 million hectare is rain-fed, which is 60% of cultivated land. Such land suffers from the low rainfall, drought and excessive rainfall. Despite considerable progress in irrigation development over the first 5-year plan, 85% of coarse cereals, 83% of pulses, 42% of rice, and 70% in the oil seeds and 65% in the cotton is still cultivated as an rain-fed. Moreover, 40% of the food grain production comes from the drylands. India will need 308.5 metric tons of food grains by 2030 to feed the population. Hence, the dryland agriculture management becomes very much significant. So, the dryland areas in a different region of India, states Jammu Kashmir, Uttaranchal, and Himachal Pradesh, percent of rain-fed area is 60 to 80%. Rajasthan and Gujarat, 66 to 80% of rain-fed area. Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu, 76 to 82% of rain-fed area. Eastern Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, and West Bengal, 33 to 74% of the rain-fed area. Characteristics of dry farming in India: uncertain, ill-distributed, and limited annual rainfall, occurrence of excessive climatic hazards like drought, flood, etc., undulating soil surface, practice of extensive agriculture, that is, prevalence of the monocropping, etc., relatively large size fields, similarity in the types of the crops raised by almost all the farmers of a particular region, very low crop yield, poor market facility for the produce, poor economy of the farmers, and the poor health of cattle as well as farmers. Importance of the dryland agriculture: about 70% of the rural population lives in dry farming areas and their livelihood depends upon success or the failure of the crops. Dryland agriculture occupies 60% of cultivated area and supports 40% of the human population and 60% of the livestock population. At present, 3 hectare of dryland crop produce cereal grains equivalent to produced in a 1 hectare oil irrigated crop. Since the region under the irrigated agriculture are already facing the problems due to the nutrient exhaustions, salinity buildup, and overuse of fertilizers, so it is imperative to produce the more from dryland while conserving the existing resources. Dryland offers a good scope for development of agroforestry, socioforestry, hortisilvipastures, and such other similar systems which will not only supply food fuel to the village people and fodder to the cattle but forms a suitable vegetative cover for ecological maintenance. Problems of crop production in dryland: the dynamics of dryland farming are different and harsh than the irrigated farming, so the problems of dryland agriculture are also very unique. Water is the chief requirement for the cropping. The cropping in a dry or the arid lands have to face the challenges of the shortage of water more frequently. Rainfall is a sole option for them to get the water. Though the groundwater is available, however, it is common phenomena that dryland farmers are poorer than the other farmers. It is challenging for them to get access to the groundwater. That is why the crop failure is quite common in the dryland, leaving the farmers and habitants worse off. Either they have to rely on the previous stored grains or to buy from the market, which is for sure expensive for them. Having said that, water shortage is not only the problem faced by the dryland farming community, there are the several other problems of dryland agriculture. Dry farming crops are characterized by very low and highly variable and uncertain yields. The crops failures are the quite common, and these are mainly due to the following causes: inadequate and uneven distribution of rainfall. In general, the rainfall is low and highly variable, which results in uncertain crop yields. Besides its uncertainty, the distribution of rainfall during the crop period is uneven, receiving the high amount of rain when it is not needed and lack of it when needs it. Late onset and early cessation of rains. Due to the late onset of monsoon, the sowing of the crop are delayed, resulting in the poor yields. Sometimes the rain may cease very early in the season, exposing the crop to the drought during the flowering and maturity stages, which reduces the crop yield considerably. Prolonged dry spells during the crop period. Long break in the rainy season is an important feature of Indian monsoon. These intervening dry spells, when prolonged during a crop period, reduces the crop growth and yield, and when unduly prolonged, crop failures. Low moisture retention capacity. The crops raised on the red soil and the coarse textured soil suffer due to the lack of moisture whenever the prolonged dry spells occur due to a very low moisture holding capacity. Loss of the rains occur due to the runoff on the undulating and slopy soils. Low fertility of the soil. Drylands are not only the thirsty but also the hungry too. Soil fertility has been increased, but there is a limited scope for extensive use of chemical fertilizers due to the lack of adequate soil moisture. Marketing problems of dryland produce. Marketing is another problem of a dryland agriculture. Farmers usually grow same types of the crop. At crop maturity, farmers want to market their produce as it is difficult to store it due to the lack of the storage facilities. This enables the traders and the middlemen to have the upper hands on them, and thus the agricultural produce is sold in a difficulty and at low price. An option for the dryland farmer is to cultivate the different crops in the season, or also they can pool the money to build a local level storage facilities. Limited liberty for the crop selection. This is a serious concern for the dryland farmers. There are very limited crops that have the adaptability to grow in arid and dryland conditions. However, it is also an opportunity for them. Oilseeds have a greater adaptability and resistance to grow in the dryland conditions. If the cultivation of the oilseed crops is done properly and carefully, these crops can earn handy for the farmers and can be sold quickly. In this way, the farmers can buy other products and food items of their needs. Quality of the crop produce. The above mentioned problems of dryland put a big question mark on the quality of the crop produced in the dryland and arid conditions. Grain quality is the biggest issue as it is inferior quality due to the underdevelopment. On the other hand, the plant growth is also affected, often termed as stunted. This is the result in the less fodder production and farmers get less return on their produce from the market. These are the few common problems of dryland agriculture and farming community. The ultimately responsibility is on the government shoulder for the backing the farmers in these areas. This is because of the poverty and the lack of the resource, which is the common in arid and dryland farming system. Moreover, the current changing climate is another threat to this form of cropping system. Last but not the least, extensive research for the new crop varieties, innovative water resource management, and introduction of unique cropping patterns practices can aid in lessening the problems of dryland agriculture. Thank you.